Hello and welcome to your bus home from the Midtjylland Celtic game. Midtjylland 3, Celtic 1, much quieter bus tonight. We've had a couple of lively journeys after the last couple of games. The positivity brought about by Martin O'Neill, Sean Maloney coming in, injecting a bit of energy into the team. But fair to say we've been brought back down to earth with a massive bang tonight. I'm your host, Terry. I'm joined by the gaffer, Phil McGinley. Phil, opening thoughts on that?
I think tonight we saw a lot of the familiar tropes rear their ugly head again. As the term I always use is Celtic doing Celtic things in Europe, and a few of those classic moments came up. Did we concede some soft goals? Yes, we did. Did we concede 2 goals in quick succession? Yes, we did. All it was missing was a red card and a penalty along the way for the opposition, because it felt like last year when we got absolutely leathered off Dortmund, where we were just thinking, and this is Midtjylland in the Europa League. This isn't Dortmund in the Champions League. At that point, with the Champions League finalists, it's like, this is Midtjylland in the Europa League. And yeah, that shows you where we are right now. But Martin O'Neill, he's inherited this for the time being. The damage was already done. And it's just kind of where we are right now in Europe, mate.
Yeah, I think it hammers home, or it removes any sort of myth that Martin's just a complete miracle worker and him coming in the door is suddenly going to transform us completely from shite to brilliant. Yes, we've had a bit of a bounce. Yes, there's been a bit of energy and a bit of positivity, but it couldn't get any worse really than what it was before. Although tonight's game, in my opinion, was as poor as anything we've seen this season under Rodgers. It was dreadful. I'll let you do all that good stuff first of all. Then we'll have a chat around the team that we played tonight and then pick through the bones of the game.
No worries at all. Well, despite the bad result tonight, folks, remember to hit the old like button and help us out again in the traction with the algorithm and so forth. Try and get us recommended by YouTube to people who like Celtic-related content, Celtic podcasts. The more likes, the more interactions, the better for us. As I said the other night, we've just passed the 1,000 mark, and there's always another milestone further down the line. So help us reach that next milestone. If you discover us tonight or whatever, then hit the subscribe button. And remember the bell notification so you'll know when we're live. Up to now, we've been live after every single game this season, so we're very consistent with our post-match shows. So always hit the old bell notification to know when we are on the road. You can become a Bhoys in the Bus member for $1.99 a month. And I always say none of our content's ever going to be behind a paywall or whatnot. It's just a wee doff of the cap to the boys here on the team and helping putting diesel in the tank. And of course, you can get involved in our comment section tonight and share the link of the channel far and wide on Twitter and whatnot. If you happen to see a tweet for promoting a show, then by all means, tweet it out there and spread awareness of the channel. And again, if you like audio, catching up on the audio, you can get the link to that in our description below this video for the SoundCloud website, and just hit subscribe on that, and then you can download the audio versions and catch up on your is it still what do you call it, the iPods? Is they still a thing now? Is it all just on their phones that they all listen to? Now, I sound like such an old man saying that, but genuinely, I don't know if it's phones, iPods, whatever.
I don't even know what you're on about.
MP3 players, I don't even know what they use nowadays. It's all just through phones nowadays. Everyone just listens to podcasts and whatnot.
Music
so
and stuff,
yeah. So yeah, that's all the good stuff out the way, mate. Now let's go into the bad stuff tonight.
I don't know how you remember all that stuff. You must be like a newsreader. You must have that in front of you on a wee screen, just running along, and then you're reading. I don't know how you remember it all.
A regular listener, Joe Henry, he always calls me Phil GPT in the chat. He always says that. So maybe it's that. Maybe I'm artificial intelligence. Maybe this whole time I've not been a real person this entire time.
Well, listen, we don't pick and choose the games. We come on after them all, no matter what. These are the ones that you don't want to do. They're the difficult ones, but we'll pick through it anyway. I was confident going into tonight's game just because of the bounce. Martin O'Neill coming in. And Sean Maloney, I think, to be fair, Martin's getting the plaudits. I would think Martin's input has probably been even less than it was when he was manager 25 years ago. I think a lot of the good stuff of the previous 2 games is probably down to Maloney and the other 2 guys that have been brought in. And the players, I suppose, taking a bit of responsibility and stepping up. But I think Martin's, as the figurehead, he's got the credit. But tonight, it felt almost back to square one. But I was going into this game. I thought we wouldn't lose tonight.
Yeah.
And I know people were bigging up Midtjylland. They're top of this Europa League. They've won 3 out of 3. To me, they were being talked as if they were a Bruges, an Atlanta, a team like that that's competing in the Champions League. We've seen Bruges last night go toe-to-toe with Barcelona in a basketball game, led 3 times, drew 3 each, had a winner disallowed in injury time. This team was being talked about as if they were a level above. And fair enough, on the night, they were a level above us, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think that was more down to us than it was to them. If you look, they've had some good results in this competition. They beat Nottingham Forest, a Nottingham Forest team, let's face it, that's been in complete disarray this season. But they beat them nonetheless. And any win is a good win. But I look back to the qualifiers. Hibs went to that ground in the qualifiers and drew 1 each.
Yeah.
They also drew at home in 90 minutes, and they were seconds away from taking this team to penalty kicks. This team could have been knocked out of this competition by Hibs, so nobody's going to sit and tell me this is a brilliant side. Were they better than us in the night? 100%. Could they have won by 5, 6, 7? Would it have been unfair? Absolutely not. They battered us, but I think we were terrible. Absolutely terrible. I look at other results, just scanning across Europe, and one that I pick out, and it's a team that we have signed players from, or loaned players to, Shamrock Rovers. Some of the results this little team, that the last time we played them, I think we played them in pre-season a couple of times. I remember being at one of the games, and we beat them either 7 or 9-0 at their ground when we had Dembele and
I know the one.
Edward. It was either 7 or 9. I can't remember. I think it might have been 7, but something like that. We absolutely battered them. But the results they get in Europe, why can Celtic not learn from any of the mistakes? The Shamrock Rovers, for context, they drew 1 each in AEK Athens tonight. Another team that's on that list. Another banner that we show to the board of teams that have put us out.
Yep.
We signed Liam Scales from there. He was by far their best player. We loaned Johnny Kenny to them, and he scored a bucket load in the league and a bucket load in Europe as well. A team like that can go into the European games and get good results. But you mentioned there, this is 20 odd years, other than last year, which is now a massive, massive outlier. It's the same old story. And it happened under O'Neill. It happened under Strachan, albeit Strachan probably has got the best European record out of all the managers in the last 20 years anyway. Lenny got some good results, but again, some shockers. Rodgers has had some shockers, done well last season. Postecoglou, we didn't really do anything in Europe. It doesn't seem to matter who's in charge. It doesn't seem to matter if the players change. We're just shite in Europe. Why is that?
Away from home, home, to be fair, it's been withering away for a while, but away from home in particular, you can never ever go in too confident with an away game with Celtic. To say they've just, for whatever reason, and you can't be put down to mentality because it's different players. Like, this is, as you say, 20 plus years. The squads have changed, the personnel have changed all the time. So how the hell does it keep happening that, they make such routine mistakes? Are they that used to just dominate and play at home in domestic games that it's a bit of a shell shock to them when, they're up against it? Are they always trying to naively play? We always call it the Celtic way, this ethos that's always got to be attacking with Celtic. We've seen managers over the last X amount of years, when we go into these European games, be questioned on, will you be a bit more pragmatic? And it's like you've massively offended them. Postecoglou was very, arsey about that question. I remember Brendan Rodgers in his first spell was asked about that after we get thumped 7-0 off Barcelona, and he wasn't too impressed by that idea. And it's like, what is it? The one manager in the last, let's say, 20 so years that had a half decent approach away from home in Europe was ironically Neil Lennon, who Obviously, he's not fancied at all by many fans, but it was like he got the idea that, we need to dig in a wee bit in these away games. We're going to be under pressure. So regardless who the opposition is, so we need to be a bit more pragmatic. And it does feel like with Celtic, with the very first minute tonight, or 20 seconds, in fact, into the game, that was like we had the first chance of the game, and then after that, it just went massively downhill. Like we forced a chance from the edge of the area where Tunekti did well out on the left, and then it was Engels, I want to say, had the shot. Yeah, and after that, it was just like a one-way siege for about 19 or 20 minutes, and then before we knew it, we were 3-0 down. We didn't get our first shot on goal until the 70th minute. We were just absolutely all at sea tonight. It was just so weird to describe it. Like I say, that's multiple different players over the years, multiple different managers, totally different generations of teams. And away from home in Europe, we just seem to be miles apart from if we're playing at home.
I can take the hammerings against your Paris and your Barcelona and your Dortmund. Those things can happen. That can happen to anybody. Anybody could go play Paris or Barcelona and get it doing. That can happen. But it's these games against teams that we have got all of the... Everything's in our favour against a team like Midtjylland. Their record signing is 5 million.
Yeah.
Their ground is the equivalent of Easter Road or Tynecastle. So they've only got a certain amount of people coming in the door. But yet, they are able to produce a squad. And you can look through that. I haven't had time to do it tonight. I've seen a few. Some of those guys are coming in from Benfica's youth team and from areas of the world that I don't believe Celtic have ever actually brought a player in from. I could be wrong on this, but they've a player from Chile and a player from Colombia.
The boy who scored their third goal tonight, the third goal for them, he was from Guinea-Bissau in Africa. And that boy looked a player like that. The boy who scored the number 7 that scored the third goal, just bent it in with his left foot. Casper Schmeichel moved. He looked lively all night. Guinea-Bissau is where he's from. The commentator mentioned it. So again, they're scouting. That's one thing you can say about Midtjylland. They look like they were organised and they had an identity. They had they look like a team that have got a plan in terms of like their structure and whatnot. And right now, Celtic just don't have an identity for very obvious reasons because it's very fragmented from board level right down to the personnel on the park.
And I think that's the concern, not to fast forward to the manager conversation, but I think that's the concern I have, that this search for a manager, even if we think we're bringing in a forward-thinking young manager with great ideas who has done well at another team, just for example, just say it was Knutson or Nicky Hayne, someone like that. Those guys coming in and putting them into the environment at Celtic Park, it's going to be totally different to putting them being in a club where everything is organised. They've got an excellent recruitment strategy. They've got a board that wants the club to succeed. They've got a model that works. And everybody is completely pulling in the same direction. The team have got an identity. Your recruitment guys are going out. They're not just signing a bunch of players, firing them at a manager and going, there you go, we've spent money, there's players. But there's a bit of thought going into it. They know how they want to play and they go out and they bring in players that fit the system that they want to play. And I genuinely think we could go out and get a manager here who has done really well somewhere else, and the expectation level will be you just lift him from there and put him in there, and away he goes and does it. And that's not going to work. If, like, say we were to bring the guy from Bruges, you don't just need to bring him. You need to bring the recruitment, the head of recruitment, and you need to bring the CEO. You need to bring more than. It's not just going to be a manager that's going to fix this, I don't think. But anyway, tonight's game. Fire up the team, first of all. Let me see.
I'll take away the banner there so you can see the bench. Not that the bench is relevant, but...
Yeah, the bench is there. I can't read it. It's too small, but I know they're all all the familiar names are there. Yeah. Schmeichel, Ralston, Trusty, Scales, Tierney. I thought Tierney might come in. I thought he might just switch that one up. I thought Tierney was dreadful. I thought he was absolutely dreadful tonight. The performances, I'm just expecting him to ignite, and it's not happening. He's going backwards. His probably his best game was the first one against St Mirren, because I remember being on holiday that day and thinking, yeah, it's great to have him back. And then I remember probably the first or second post-match after I came home, I said it was great having two really attack-minded fullbacks, because him and Johnson had a really good game. Not sure which one it was. It might have been home to Livingston or whatever. And then from then, he's not even doing the basics. He's not even finding a Celtic player with his passes. I don't know who he signed. Midfield was always going to be that three, I think. That's the preferred option of the current management team. Maybe a surprise that Dyson made a drops out. Maybe again because he's been injured. Maybe the trade-off with the sports science guys was if he started on Sunday, then he might not be able to play very much tonight. Don't know, but I thought he would have played, but he didn't. So he's gone with Forrest, Tanek, and Kenny. Any surprises for you?
Surprise-wise, not really. I did think as well Tierney would come in, even though Sirachi's been in decent form. But I guess with the lack of football that Sirachi's also played, I guess he needs to be managed. And Forrest starting, I've said that a few times this season now, like when he's been coming off the bench, he seems to be a totally different player, but when he starts a game, he's just invisible, and tonight was one of them. Not that he was the only culprit, most of the team were invisible, to be fair, but yeah, he wasn't getting into the game at all. And the Maeda thing, it could also be a feeling that, okay, if there's 60 minutes played and the game's still in the balance, then Maeda's a great option to bring on, but sadly, in an 8-minute spell, I think it was, or was it 14 minutes or something, whatever it was in the first half, it was gone. That was it. The game was gone. So there wasn't even a chance of getting to the hour mark where the game was still in the balance. So that was that plan right down the Swanee. So yeah, there was in terms of the lineup though, nothing massively surprised me really.
What do you think of this new hairdo for Maeda? He needs to get himself down to see David Logan.
He does actually. I think so. But the thing is, it was when he was bald, Maeda, that's when he seemed to be at his sort of like most erratic. But when he grew his hair out, that's when he seemed to turn into this player that we all know and love nowadays. But yeah, right now, this slicked back thing that he's got going on, yeah, I think he does need to go visit David.
Okay, so I thought we started well as well in that first 30 seconds. I thought, yeah, here we go.
What 30 seconds it was.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good. And probably from about the 10th minute until Midtjylland scored, it was kind of just, I get the feeling it's coming here. And inevitably it did. And I thought they looked okay at that point, Midtjylland. I thought they were knocking about. They were quite pacey. You could see their play. They got to the last third, and then the passing seemed to speed up. Mm-hmm. But the first goal that we give away, Forrest and Ralston, I don't know what the two of them are doing. The two of them are just jockeying the guy, but they're nowhere near close enough to make a challenge. And you've got to go and engage him. You've got to go and make a tackle, especially when there's two of you. One of you go in to win the ball, and the other one's there to cover. But the two of them just sat off him and let him do what he wanted. He stands the ball up to the back post, and the guy comes in with an easy header. Very, very disappointing. We were up against it already, and I did feel the goal was coming, but I genuinely felt we just handed that one to them.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, it was just too easy for him. Like you say, Forrest and Ralston are there. Now, Forrest obviously has never been exactly renowned for his tackling or anything. He's never really been one with any upper body strength and whatnot. But Ralston is a defender. He just doesn't put any effort in. Obviously, he lets the guy get to the byline, gets the cross in, and yeah, the boy that comes into the back post, he's one of the tallest players on the park. I was quite surprised to see Austin Trusty getting out chumped there. Like, Austin Trusty getting nowhere near him as well. But it was just a calamity, and I was the exact same as you. After that first initial attack in the first couple of seconds, basically, it was just one-way traffic, and you just felt like, we need to get to half-time here at 0. Now we need to dig our heels in. Hopefully we can just... Because obviously a lot of things were made out of their set plays, that they were very much a team that were very strong in set plays, and we actually managed to defend those. So it was a case of, right, okay, if that's their strongest a way of attack through set plays. We're subduing them now. So in open play, just a case of just make sure you always mark your man and whatnot. Just get any crosses away, everything. Just defend at all costs because we are under the cosh here. But yeah, it just as soon as that one went in, it was just that familiar sinking feeling. Because at that point, say the way the game's gone, you're like, we've not even really tested them because you fall behind. You're like, okay, if we've been in the game a wee bit, you feel like we can maybe just regroup here and go again. But up to that point, other than in the first 20 seconds, getting a shot off on the edge of the area, it had all been one-way traffic. So you did start to feel the worst, Terry, when that first goal went in, and a sort of deja vu feeling of, I've read this chapter before in Celtic's European history, and sadly, it was the case.
The one thing that I tell the kids before every single match when we're coaching them is if you concede a goal, regroup quickly, show a bit of resilience, make sure you don't lose another one quickly because the game can get away from you. So most important thing when you lose one is fully focused for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and make sure you don't concede a second one, and then you work your way back into the game. What does Celtic do? Within 2 minutes, it's another one. And it's almost a carbon copy in terms of Ralston standing off his man and it just allows him to come inside and shoot. I've starred, Joe Henry's comment there. I think that applies to this goal here. Engels does arrive in the situation and could potentially get in the road. But again, if you're a fullback, you've got to be making a challenge. And if Engels is in the road, get him out the road as well. Take him out as well. Just stand and letting the guy come in onto his good side. And it's an excellent finish from the guy. But again, it all feels too easy. All of a sudden, you're 2-0 down. And it just feels very, very much self-inflicted to me.
Yeah, there was a deja vu feeling about that one from just a few weeks ago at Tynecastle. Left winger who's looked quite lively all night, picks up the ball on the left-hand side, cuts in on his stronger right foot, sticks it in the net. So just handed Tynecastle as well a few weeks ago. Don't get me wrong, a few different personnel involved that time, but yeah, a lot of the same characteristics, just very, very weak and try to close him down and just try to force him out a wee bit. But no, they just let him breeze through and get that shot away. Finishes it well, bends it way into the far corner. And that's the sinking feeling right there because there's the Celtic European bingo card of 2 quick goals, conceding them back to back. And yeah, once that happens, you're just like, well, what's the rest of the game going to be now? Damage limitation. So again, as up to that point, we haven't even really forced any chances. So you don't even have any hope at that point that, okay, we're 2-0 down, but there's only like half an hour played. There's still plenty of time. But at that stage, you're like, surely this can't end up like Dortmund a year ago. Like it's just going to be an absolute siege, like 6-7 or whatever, what we could concede here. And it's Midtjylland in the Europa League. That's where we're at. We're like, is this genuinely like how bad it's gotten in the last 12 months that we're now worried that Midtjylland could run up a cricket score on us here? So what the hell do we do? So it was a real sense of doom when that second one went in for me, Terry. I was just like, I don't see any way to turn this around right now, and it is just going to be batten down the hatches and just damage limitation for the rest of the game, mate.
Well, listen, we done well after that because we went another 5 minutes before we conceded another one. So credit where credit's due. We didn't concede straight away. We waited 5 minutes and then conceded another one. This time, it's just a long throw in into the box. Nobody goes and attacks it. It bounces about, goes to one of their guys. He sticks it in the net. Kasper Schmeichel comes out trying to blame every fucking person other than himself. He just stands and watches it go into the net. Seeing too much of that from him coming out, blaming guys that are standing in front of him or somebody else doing it. He needs to come and just stop the ball getting into the net, or at least make an attempt to stop it getting in. Now, bit of credit, he made some good saves tonight, and it could have been worse without him. But
definitely.
He's just waved that one in, to be honest. And he claimed that his sight was impaired by a guy that he was hoping was in an offside position. But I don't even think the guy was offside, and I don't even think he was really in his role. I just think he couldn't move to get it. But again, a really, really amateurish goal. I mean, a long throw in and into your box, and the ball ends up in your net. It's just basics, absolute basics in terms of defending.
Yeah, it was. It was a nice finish from the boy. But yeah, I was confused myself when Michael was shouting for something right away. It's just in hope, I think, more than anything. He's obviously feeling as frustrated as the rest of us that, it's all just crumbling right in front of him. But no, it was a nice finish. I just couldn't even see what even the issue would be. I think he was just clutching at straws for that one. And 3-0, not even half time yet. And it's just like, yeah, well, what do we even do now? Realistically, if Celtic were to get any sort of foothold in the game, you would again needed a goal pretty soon, before half time to give you some kind of foothold into the game. But up to that point, we hadn't really threatened them. And yeah, just didn't even get any better after that until 70-something minutes, I think it was, Terry, before we even managed to muster up a shot on target of obviously from the first 20 seconds. But yeah, it was just a horrible sinking feeling, as I say, familiar feeling with Celtic in Europe. And it was just half time. We just regroup. I'd wonder what was said at half time by Martin O'Neill in the dressing room, because I don't think there's much you can really say. And again, I keep going back to it, but this is where we're at. We're talking about damage limitation against Midtjylland, and regardless of them being currently top of the Europa League section, a lot of it also comes down to the luck of the draw and the fixtures and whatnot. Obviously, they've got the wins so far, but we saw last year, like the Champions League, for example, Liverpool finished top after the 8 games and didn't even get into the quarterfinals. So
Paris scripted through. They were looking as if they were going out, and they scripted through,
and then going on winning the whole thing. So
and go on to win it easily in the end, like the most one-sided final in a long time.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I know that I think they said tonight that Midtjylland's next game is against Roma in Italy. So that'll be the first top, because so far they've played Nottingham Forest away, but as you say, it was Forest and the short Ange era that they had, which was just chaos. They've played, I think, Sturm Graz, who we've played and beat. And who's the other team that they played? It was obviously one of the lower ranking teams, but this is one from obviously one of the top 5 leagues, Roma, who are third now in the Serie A, isn't it? It's third or fourth just now. So there's that. And who else? Who else have they got again? I can't remember. They said tonight they read a few of their fixtures. We'll see what they're made of. But at the end of the day, we've obviously got some hard fixtures ourselves with Feyenoord and Roma coming up in the next 2 games. And
Roma's been struggling in this competition, but they look as if they're on track to get a couple of points tonight.
Indeed.
Not that cheers us up any, because that has nothing to do with us. Right, half time. My notes kind of stopped there, Phil. All I have written down is we made substitutions, we scored a penalty, and we lost a player to hamstring injury. I suppose if we're looking for positives, you're talking about what would the halftime chat have been, and I would think it's something along the lines of let's win the second half, something like that. I don't think there would be any realistic expectation of getting back into the game. From a Midtjylland perspective, I think they'll have been right. There's no need for us to be expansive and go gung ho. Let's just contain. We're 3 up. We'll get the job done. And you quite often see this when there's a one-sided scoreline at halftime. Sometimes the second half kind of just peters out. And it kind of felt like that to me. They always looked as if they could score or go up a gear if they wanted to. We just plodded through it, really, and it was damage limitation, as you said earlier. Maeda had come on for Forest, Osman had come on for Kenny, then Hitati come on for Negrin. Made our final 2 substitutions, Balaquisha on for Taneke, Bernardo on for Engels. It was good to see Bernardo. It was good to see Bernardo. I think that's just the long and short of it. I thought Taneke. Myself and my dad disagreed with this when we were watching it. He thought he was dreadful, but I thought every time we got the ball to him, he looked dangerous, but we just couldn't get the ball to him enough.
I agree on that one. There was a few moments where we threatened to sort of go on and attack, and Tanekti seemed to be the sort of one getting on the ball, but again, just other players weren't getting up alongside him. There was one where I think the commentator actually described it as Forest is steaming through the middle, and then you looked at it through the middle, and he wasn't really keeping up there with the pace at all. I don't know at his age if he's still got the legs for it anyway, but Tanekti was out on the left of the ball, and he's tried to find Forest, but yeah, it never got to his man at all. So he did seem to be in the first half in particular, when we had those wee moments, like we could maybe defend a corner and whatnot and break a little bit, it seemed to be the ball was getting to Tenecte and he was trying to make something happen, but yeah, just everyone else wasn't up to speed with him. And Johnny Kenny was pretty much invisible after his little purple patch there of the goals against Falkirk and obviously the highest scoring against Rangers. Yeah, Johnny Kenny just kind of, he didn't have the service. No offense to the boy himself, because indeed he's got to get that service from the rest of the team. It wasn't the other night, so he had a pretty much anonymous game. And as you said, the one that did come on for him, the other one that obviously had the massive high on Sunday, he goes off injured, and it looks like it's going to be 7-8 weeks of talking. It looked like a bad hamstring one, because he was in proper pain, Callum Osmond. Yeah, you could see he was quite distressed there. So this is more than, I think, just a hamstring pull. This could be a hamstring tear, and that could be, who knows. And that's a few now this season that we've had going down with hamstring injuries. It's a bit like Ange's first season. Remember the first half of that, where it was everybody was just going down with hamstring injuries. That's what it feels like right now with Celtic.
Yeah, I agree with you about Kenny there. I see Kenny as a finisher. He's a finisher, and what finishers need is they need service, they need balls into the box. And I just don't expecting him to lead the line and fire balls up to him. I just don't think that's his game. I think he's about running in behind. He is quite pacey. Running in behind, running onto passes through the channels, or feeding off crosses into the box. And he showed that. He showed that from the corner that we scored against Rangers, and good penalty box instincts with his 2 goals against Falkirk. He's going to become even more important now with Osmond going out, because you're as much as Osmond only came onto our radar 8 days ago, it almost feels like he could have become an important player for us between now and January, between now and the end of the season. And you sometimes don't know, Phil. I mean, that wee guy coming on and scoring against Rangers, he could have really kicked on from that. And sometimes these guys just appear from nowhere. They get their chance and they take it, and the confidence boost they get from it just surges them to new levels. So I thought he looked lively. I was looking forward to seeing a bit more of him. He wins the penalty. I don't think there's any arguments there. I think it's a straightforward penalty. He grabs the ball, he wants to take it. And you know what? I'm saying, let him take it. I'm going to let him take it.
Said that my dad as well. I was like,
he can't take enough. He probably scores 4 out of 5. But if the young lad wants to take it, let him take it. He's on the crest of a wave. But
11 minutes to go, 3-0 down. It's like, might as well just let him take it. See, when Hatate stepped up, I've been right now. When it comes to Hatate, I'm just like, everything he does just worries me. And I was like, I can just see what's going to happen here. He's probably going to miss it. To be fair, it wasn't the best of penalties, but it got there in the end. But Osmond did look lively when he came on. He did. He actually, got around a wee bit and winning the penalty. He was the first, he had that shot on target as well. So he's obviously buzzing after all that. But yeah, it's all came crashing down, sadly, for the lad with the injury. And as you say, he could have been a very vital player for us over the next few weeks. And it's back to square one again.
Yeah. So he's gone. We're now sat outside the top 24 in this competition. The next 3 games look quite tough to me, Phil. I struggle to see... I don't see that we can win all 3 of them, but I struggle to see that we even win 2 of them. So the next 3 games, correct me if I'm wrong, because I did this really quickly. I think we're away from home 3 games in a row. St Mirren, Feyenoord, Hibs. Is that right?
St Mirren definitely after the national break. St Mirren definitely. We've got Kilmarnock on Sunday at home, but then the national break, and then it's St Mirren away, and the next European game is definitely Feyenoord away.
Yeah, I've totally forgot about Sunday's game. After Sunday's game,
and then obviously if you're saying it's Hibs, then I've got no reason to think otherwise. So that's still on the cards because we played Hibs at Celtic Park. So that's still to come then into Easter Road. So we'll see how that goes.
We have to get Kelly out of the way first of all, and we'll
definitely.
We'll do a quick preview of that. But after that, I think then after the break, I think we're away to St Mirren. It's a Saturday night game. Then I think it's away to Feyenoord, and then I think it's away to Hibs. Then you've got Dundee at home, and then Hearts at home, and all this does. I mean, Hearts are the guys just sitting lapping this up. They've no European games whatsoever, and we're getting the doing, losing players and all sorts. And the Friday Sunday combination is never a good one. So anyway, Sunday we have to just wipe this result out. We have to get the guys home. They'll probably land home tomorrow, I would imagine. They'll not do an awful lot, I would think, tomorrow, and then they'll have some sort of light training Saturday morning, and then it's into Sunday's game. So there's probably no real period. It'll be rest after tonight and a little bit of just a bit of light work on a Saturday, and then they'll probably find out the team and have a chat, and then it's into the game. So there's no real time or anything. We've just got to lift it. And I think what O'Neill will probably say is just wipe that out. That's gone. That game's gone.
Aye.
We've managed to cut Hearts' lead to 6. So I suppose if you look at it, since O'Neill and Maloney and Fozzie and McManus took over, we've actually made inroads into Hearts' league lead by 2 points. And I think it'll just be a case of let's get the 3 points in this game. Then there's a 2-week break, and then it'll be interesting to see what the club do off the back of that. But I'm not too worried about Sunday. I think we'll be able to write tonight off and look at Sunday as a one-off game with a 2-week break after. It's just a one-off game, cup final. We need to go and win this game. I fully expect no hangover from this, and we go out and we put in a performance similar to the Falkirk one.
Yeah, I think it's got to be all eggs in the domestic basket now. I mean, mathematically, Celtic are not out of the Europa League campaign at the moment, but realistically, you've been quite hard pressed to see us getting through to the next round now, because we'd have to beat Roma and we'd have to beat Utrecht. We have to get 2 wins out of the last 4. So you'd look at the 2 home games. One of them's against Roma, who are currently beating our pals across the city. They're currently winning in Ibrox just now. So are we going to beat Roma? I doubt it. I'll still go there with all the hope in the world. We can still lose to Feyenoord and lose to Bologna, but if we get the 2 home wins, then we're still in with a shout. But goal difference is going to be crucial. So if we get 10 points but have like a goal difference of like -6 or something, that'd be quite it'd be quite unrealistic for us to get through. But anyway, the players will still give it their best shot when it comes out. So it's all about domestic stuff now. And we need to just power on in that. We need to try and get back to the top of the table as quickly as possible. We've got Hearts coming up, I believe, at the start of December. I think it's like the first week of December. We play them at Celtic Park. So we ain't got that long to wait. But we just need to power on. And I think you're right. I think the players will just get this out of their system really quickly. And they just move on now to Kilmarnock, because every domestic game right now is essentially a cup final to get back up to the top of the league. We need to start to see some cracks forming with Hearts. Obviously, they've dropped a couple of points. They've drawn with Motherwell and drawn with St Mirren recently, so they are there to be gotten at. But I say the big crunch will be when we play them on December 6th. So we need to just keep making sure we're winning, and it's to the point where if we can beat them that night, then we reduce it to, obviously we'll have a game in hand. I think our game in hand right now isn't until mid-December. I think it's Dundee United at Tannadice, and we've now got the cup final as well against St Mirren. So our game that weekend will go onto the back burner as well. So there's a good chance that we could close the gap, but we'll still have a few games in hand as well. So we need to make sure that, as the old adage goes, you always want to have the points on the board rather than the games in hand. So we can't
Of course, they've stretched it to 9. I've said Martin and the guys have reduced it to 6.
We've still got that game in hand. So it's just a case of we just need to make sure that we get them, reel them in as closely as possible. We don't want them to, pull away a wee bit more. We've dropped a couple more points somewhere. We go, but we've got games in hand. It's all right. So
I think if we get to that home game against Hearts with the status quo, I think that'll be okay, because those next 2 away games are really, really hard. St Mirren and at Hibs.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult to get 6 points out of those. But
Definitely.
I suppose the big question then is, and Alistair Jack comes in and goes, does this speed up the manager? Things have gone really quiet since Sunday on the manager front. The rumours have slowed down. The betting hasn't changed at all from Sunday, other than Martin O'Neill has hardened a little bit. Now, to put that into context, some of the bookies, their market is for who's going to be who's going to be the next permanent manager on the 1st of January. And some of them are doing who's going to be the first permanent manager at the start of next season. And that's what their rules are going to be on. So some of them are a wee bit different because there's more chance of Martin O'Neill being manager come 1st of January than there is still next summer. But it was kind of felt that this 2-week international break would be the point that Martin and the boys would cover things on an interim basis, and by the end of this window, the new manager will be in place. It's really, really slowed down. And I think that if we had got a positive result tonight and a positive result on Sunday, I think that Dermot Desmond and the board would probably have been of a mindset. There's nothing wrong here. Let's just let this roll on, and see where it takes us. There's no, we've had a boost. There's nobody come in on a big massive salary. There's nobody on a big long contract. There's nobody with a long commitment. Let's just see how it plays out, and we can play the old card that, you know, we were interested in X, Y, and Z. They weren't available, so we didn't want to rush into bringing in the wrong person. We're happy to wait to the summer and get the man that we're after. That kind of thing. I genuinely don't see, even if Martin O'Neill stays on this season, I don't see him being the manager at the start of next season. I think it's still going to just be short term, in that he probably thought short term was 3 or 4 days. Short term could be to the end of the season. How do you see this playing out in the next 2.5 weeks? And does tonight's result make any difference?
God, the next 2.5 weeks. I mean, realistically, I think Celtic should be actively try to get somebody sorted as soon as possible, because that January window's coming up, and if we've still got a temporary manager in charge of Martin O'Neill, what do you do in January? Because as we saw tonight, and as we've seen this season, we still need some serious investment. And I know the board have wheeled out the line before. January's a really hard window to do business. It's only a hard window when it suits them, because we've got evidence over the
hard window if you don't want to spend any money.
We've got evidence, Terry, plenty to support it. When things aren't going too well, suddenly they find all that investment in January. Look at the Tony Mowbray season. Look at that one. 7 points behind Rangers in the January, and when January window opened, and we had like 9 players go out and 7 players come in. A year before that, Gordon Strachan's last season, we were 7 points in front of Rangers after beating them in the game at Ibrox just before the January window opened. We only signed Will Flood that one, and that was the year that Peter Lawwell came out with a line about we tried to spend, but nobody wanted our money, some absurd line like that. It only is hard when...
That was the Stephen Fletcher window.
Stephen
Fletcher window where we haggled with Hibs, as we always do, and we've obviously just had that little giggle before we come on.
Oh yes, we did.
Forward that we tried to get on deadline day, but that one was Stephen Fletcher, and the fee was something like 2.5, and we wouldn't go above 2.3 or something. And Stephen Fletcher went on to go down to England and do okay. He would have won us the league. That's the long and short.
That season,
he would have won us the league in that window, and it's again.
And that was what I say. Will Flood was only 5 side, but the point of that was that window we went in with a nice comfortable lead, so there was no need to change it. The next year we were struggling, and suddenly change it. So this year looks like we're heading towards a January window where Hearts are either going to be right on our tails, or we're going to be just behind them, or it's going to be neck and neck. And we don't know where Rangers will be at that point. Who knows? But I think Celtic board need to prompt into action. Now, if we've got a temporary manager in charge, to me that just is like, oh, what are you going to do in the January window? What's going to happen in the summer? I have said since the Brendan Rodgers resignation, and I've said, please Celtic, prove me wrong in this, because I don't want to be right, but I just cannot unsee Sean Maloney becoming the full-time manager next season, where it'll be O'Neill and Maloney for the rest of the season, with the view that Maloney takes over full-time, and we can't do that. That cannot be it. We're talking about what is the trigger point that set the fans off this summer. With the final straw that broke the camel's back was the lack of investment in the failure to go to the Champions League. And we need a manager. What Brendan was doing when he was pushing back, now whether that was all bullshit he was talking and whatnot, it remains to be seen. But we need a manager that can challenge the board and try and push them for a bit of ambition. Do you genuinely think that Sean Maloney would do that? Sean Maloney would continue the status quo where the board will give him players and he'll just be like, no problem. He'll be quite happy to just work with them. That's the way I look at it. I want to see an ambitious appointment, so I think it needs to be done soon, but I just can't escape this idea that it's going to be O'Neill and Maloney for the rest of the season, and Maloney will take over full time. And I just don't want it to happen, Terry, at all. But I feel like if they won the semi-final, I think they're going to get the cup final. I don't think Celtic will say, oh, thanks for that, Martin, but off you pop, and bring in another manager. I think they get the cup final, and then if they win that, which you would expect Celtic would, although we've still got a job to do there, then the board will look at it and go, well, as you said, everything's going well. They've won the first trophy of the season. Give them it to the end of the season, and then conversations will be had in the months running up to the end of the season. Say it cannot be that. I don't want it to be that, and I'm begging the board, do not prove me right on this one. But with the way they've performed over the years, with the stuff they do, and I'm so worried that's where this is going, Terry. I'm petrified of it.
What gives us the best chance of winning the league, Phil? Sticking with what we've got right now, or bringing in someone else? And that someone else could be someone from another league, someone who's got to come into Scotland. They've got to go into a new culture, into a new club, into a new city. They're going to be settling in themselves whilst also trying to get this team to catch Hearts and hopefully stay ahead of Hearts and hold off any surge from Rangers if that happens, which could happen. Does what we've got right now give us the best chance of winning this league? I said the first time I was on after Rodgers left that I felt the best chance of us winning the league would be Postecoglou, because he would be familiar with the club. Is what we've got now our best chance of winning this league this season? And for that reason, do we stick with it and then make changes in the summer? Or do we roll the dice right now in this 2 weeks? We bring in someone new and we take the risk of them coming in and them struggling to adjust and settle whilst they're also trying to pick up a team that has been pretty much on its knees and get the League One at the same time. I'm torn as to what's the right thing to do. I think someone else is the right thing for Celtic in the long term, but I really want us to win this league this season, and that might be just to run with what we've got.
The weird thing is, I think both answers can be correct. I think if it does remain the status quo, I'm confident we will go and win the league, because I think at the end of the day, we've got a better team. We just needed a new voice in the dressing room to give them a bit more direction, essentially. And we've seen that in a couple of the domestic games. But tonight, we got a reminder that it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. But I do think if we bring in like a new manager, and as long as we do our due diligence and, we scout him correctly and bring him in, and allow him to bring in his own guys, because obviously with Kennedy being gone now, I know Gavin Strachan's still there, and you would expect that Sean Maloney will probably be involved, but I'm okay with Maloney being part of the coaching setup. That doesn't bother me. I think in that sense he's fine, but I think as a number one, as a manager, I don't want it. But I think even if we want to change the manager, I'm still confident that we'll go on and win the title. The way things were going with Brendan, I was starting to there was a wee bit of me still saying, look, we'll probably we'll probably scrape it by the skin of our teeth. Like Ronnie season 2, where it was just dull to watch all season and we won the bare minimum. I kept getting visions of that Ronnie's second season, the way things were going, where we'll still have enough to win the league, but it's going to be an ugly watch. But then after the loss to Dundee and the loss to Hearts, I was like, I don't know, actually, we do need to change it now. And I think with Neil and Maloney, I still think we'll win the league. I think we'll do. I mean, the other day, I mind you saying on Sunday, you're confident in the treble with they two at the helm. But I think even changing the manager, if we go out and we get the right man in the next few weeks, if they do it, then I'm confident that we'll win the league game. And so overall, I think we've got a good squad. We just need to, one, get a bit of luck with the injuries right now, because we're obviously hampered by that. And two, obviously January, we have to be looking at some investment now. It's now or never. And if we've only got a temporary guy in charge, as the club are treating it, what do you do in January? It's all loan signings in January. It's like, no, you need to get a guy in and allow the rebuild to start from January. I say the club can peddle all the bullshit about January's a hard window. I say I can point to plenty of evidence over the last 15 or so years where January's only hard when you want it to be hard. If we're struggling, if there's a wee bit of a title fight going on, oh, trust me, you'll find the money, you'll find the investment. They always do.
Okay, I think that'll do us, Phil. 52 minutes after a very sobering performance isn't a bad innings. So we'll run with that. Sunday then, quite an obscure kickoff time, 4 o'clock, Sunday, Celtic Park.
Indeed.
You'll be at that?
I will indeed, aye.
So I'll be on in the evening at some point. Hopefully be able to get some of the guys to come on with me. And hopefully we're celebrating 3 points, and then let's just take a break. I've never enjoyed these international breaks, but see, this season, every time it's come round, I've just thought we need this. We need this. And then about two days into it, I'm going, nah, I need Celtic back. I just want them back. I think we need this.
I'm the same, Terry. I've been feeling that way. Then I remember I need to watch Scotland play, and I know by all accounts Scotland are sitting quite well in their qualifying group, but it's a hard watch Stevie Clarke's Scotland team. I guess it's getting results, but my God, it's ugly. This watch at times, man. It's the exact same as you.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me tonight, and thanks to everybody who's been on. We were steady around about 100 there for most of the way. Not much fun tonight, but we move on. We wipe it out. We go again on Sunday. We hopefully get the 3 points, and we'll see you all after the game against Kilmarnock. Thank you very much.
Right, I'll see you tomorrow night, guys. I'll be on with Liam on Friday, so catch us at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And cheers, Terry. We'll see you later, mate. Cheers, man.